welcome. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Tonight, House of Representatives plenary turns rowdy as members engage in heated debate over proposal to grant immunity to principal officers. Senate summons the SGF over alleged comments on constituency projects, threatens to issue arrest warrant on the Attorney General of the Federation. Petroleum ministers from 4 ECOWAS countries meet in Abuja, raise concerns over impact of pipeline vandalism on the West Africa gas project. And South Sudan ceasefire holds, ending days of heavy fighting that's left dozens of people dead.
And on Business News tonight, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development recommends commerce integration for African economies.
And in sports news, Minister of Sports Solomon Dalong backs Team Nigeria to put up a good performance at the Olympic Games in Rio.
I'm Gloria Umezuke, and from Abuja, Trade Union Congress gives 15-day ultimatum to state governments to pay their workers' salaries or face mass action.
We begin tonight in the nation's capital, Abuja, with a shouting match at the House of Representatives today over a motion seeking to alter Section 308 of the Constitution to secure immunity for principal officers of the National Assembly. The motion was sponsored by the minority leader, Leo Ogo, but was opposed by the majority leader, Femi Gbajabiamila, who faulted the timing of the bill. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports.
It's the first plenary session as the House of Representatives resume from their 2-week recess. The first bill to be debated has to do with providing immunity for presiding officers of the national and state legislative houses. The sponsor of the bill says the amendment is not meant to shield anybody, but to address a mischief.
The essence of an amendment is to address a mischief that have reared its heads. And you have seen today what is happening even in the Senate. The Senate is under trial where the Senate President and his deputy. Presume on the day where 2 of them are off for such trials, that automatically means that the Senate will not be able to sit. I think that is not in the national interest.
Members were then allowed to speak for and against the bill.
The issue is protection of the independence of the legislature. And it behoves on us, the National Assembly members, to protect that institution that will make good governance.
I am yet to be told, in the argument of the minority leader or anybody that has spoken thereafter, of one country in the world, one democracy in the world, where the legislature, either the head of the arm of legislature, is cloaked with immunity.
The Speaker then sought to round up debate on the matter.
If bills like this, which call for reference to the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Constitutional Review, we just read them and refer it to that Special Ad Hoc Committee. That has been the tradition. So,
shouts of no immunity echoed through the chamber. One lawmaker even holds up a placard. Others walk around arguing.
If we are not a bunch of criminals, why are we looking for?
Almost 20 minutes later, order is restored.
If you read 98.2, it talks about the debate. Order. After conclusion of debate, the bill shall be referred to the Special Ad Hoc Committee. And that is what we have always done, and that is what we will do. That is what we will do today. So the bill is hereby referred to the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Constitutional Review.
A similar amendment is before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution. Now, the fate of these proposed amendments will be in the hands of Nigerians who will have the opportunity, by way of public hearings or through their state legislators, to decide if these will become law or not. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
To the upper house now, and the Senate has summoned the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Babachir Lawal, over his alleged comments on the withdrawal of constituency project allowances for federal lawmakers. The issue, which came under matters of urgent national importance, was viewed by senators as an attempt to stop the provision of the democracy dividends for constituents.
After 2 weeks of recess, lawmakers in the upper legislative arm returned for plenary. A few minutes after, they went into a closed-door meeting, and when they opened the door for plenary, an issue that came up on the floor is a comment by the Secretary to the government on constituent allowance.
I want to look at the human psychology that is involved in this press briefing that the SGF gave. He has shown so much disdain and hatred for the National Assembly. This is the reason. There is no way you can go to an infinitesimal fraction of a budget of less than 1%, and you have picked out the National Assembly. And you know that we are the ones that really, truly and really represent the people. Every person here in the Senate, the 109 of us, and the 360 of them in the House of Representatives, if you put it together, we truly represent the people. And it is our statutory role and duty to make sure that these people are properly represented.
Some of the lawmakers gave their view on the issue and urged public officers to speak with caution.
And there is a need to call a spade a spade. That is what we are saying today. The SGF has not represented the government well. Mr. President, the councillors and House of Assembly members will be better than us if we go home without taking our constituency projects in tow. It doesn't have to do with any party.
There were also those who believed that the Secretary to the government should not be blamed.
The Senate is aware of the fact that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is not the Finance Minister. The Senate is equally aware that he is not the Minister of Budget.
After much deliberation on the matter, the Senate summoned Mr. Babachir Lawal to appear before its Joint Committee on Ethics, Budget and Appropriation. The committee is expected to submit its report within a week.
Meanwhile, lawmakers have also threatened to issue a warrant of arrest on the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami. The Senate had summoned the minister to appear before its Committee on Judiciary to explain his decision to charge the Senate President and his deputy to court over forgery allegations. But Mr. Malami failed to appear before the lawmakers and instead sent an official from his office who was excused from the Senate's committee hearing.
In line with the directive, we in fact invited the Honorable Attorney General first on the 23rd of June. On that date, he did not appear, but a letter was received by our committee, to the effect that he needed more time to articulate his position and that he was out of the country. The committee obliged him, and we scheduled another meeting for the 30th of June. On that day, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice did not appear before the committee.
What we had been reading in the papers was of great concern, where the #1 judicial officer of the country will be the one that will be flouting the Constitution and not going by, because 89C is very, very clear. But it appears from what you are saying that the Attorney General is requesting for one more chance to be given to appear before you. And I think as a Senate that is always in the progress of development and such, we will do that and ensure that he does come this time. Otherwise, as well, we will have no choice as well than to follow the Constitution strictly.
Away from the National Assembly, the Committee of Petroleum Ministers from Nigeria, Ghana, Togo and the Republic of Benin say activities of vandals in the Niger Delta area have cut down the volume of gas supplies across the West African sub-region. The oil ministers made this remark at a regional meeting in Abuja to discuss recent developments that have affected the implementation of the West African gas pipeline project.
The West African Gas Pipeline project was established during the military era in Nigeria to provide gas to member states, including Ghana, Togo, and Benin Republic. This meeting of petroleum ministers from the region is organized to discuss solutions to problems that have affected the implementation of the project. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum says activities of vandals in the Niger Delta constitute part of the problems that need to be addressed, as it has affected gas supply to members in recent times.
We're all very familiar with the sort of challenges. Inadequate supply of gas obviously is key. The volumes are degenerating by the day. But then, of course, that whole problem is then exacerbated further by the fact of the difficulties we face in the Nigerian petroleum industry. Not just difficulties arising from non-speedy development of adequate infrastructure in the oil and gas sector, but also the difficulties of the militancy attacks that have imperiled our ability to move at a sort of rapid pace that we would have loved to.
Other members of the committee who spoke in the French language also identify non-payment of bills for gas supplied as another challenge to be addressed. Meanwhile, the Ghanaian Minister of Petroleum told journalists outside the hall that recent cut in gas supply has led to loss of jobs among member states.
Anytime there's a vandalization of the pipeline, the complete stoppage of gas, industries that have shut down, jobs that has been cut. And so those issues must be addressed.
Nigeria is the major supplier of gas in this region. Hence, the approach to the emerging challenges in the nation's petroleum sector has far-reaching effect on its implementation.
The explosive ordnance team of the River State Police Command says it's defused an improvised explosive device placed to blow up a pipeline belonging to the NLNG at the Rumuche area of the state. In a statement, the police command explains that the device was fabricated with a large mass of dynamite and other accessories. This comes as a team of explosives ordnance detectives in Edo State Police Command also defused an improvised explosive device planted on an oil wellhead in Ovia North local government of the state. The Edo State Police Command also paraded 10 suspects arrested for kidnapping, armed robbery and cybercrime. The meeting between the Minister of Labour, Dr. Chris Ngige, and the leaders of 2 labour unions in the industries is still ongoing in Abuja. Now, that meeting, which is holding at the Ministry of Labour, started around 3 p.m. and is a continuation of yesterday's talks aimed at averting another fuel crisis stemming from the threat by oil workers to embark on another strike. The leaders of both Pengassan and Newpeng told journalists yesterday that discussions so far have been satisfactory. Now, the President today showed his appreciation for the role played by the United States government in the success of the 2015 general elections in Nigeria. Receiving the outgoing ambassador to the U.S. to Nigeria, Mr. James Entwistle, at the State House, President Muhammadu Buhari said the insistence on free and fair elections contributed to strengthening democracy in the country. President Buhari thanked the Americans for the military, intelligence and humanitarian support to internally displaced persons in the northeast. In addition, the President also received the outgoing High Commissioner of Canada to Nigeria, Ambassador Perry Calderwood. President Buhari commended the Government of Canada's humanitarian assistance in resettling IDPs and their commitment to eradicating polio in the country. In part 2, after the break, Senate asks federal, state and local governments to pay outstanding salary arrears owed teachers across the country. That's in a moment. Stay with us.